Alright, ladies. What's the tea?
Okay, so we're reading this book called In Cold Blood, right? And it's extremely controversial.
And get this, it happened here in Holcomb.
No way. That's wild.
Yes way.
So, what's the book about?
Well, I wrote a summary. In Cold Blood follows the Clutter family and two Fallons, Perry and Dick. The book describes the charming everyday life of the Clutter family. Alongside the Clutters' day, we see the two Fallons on a road trip. They arrive in the same town where the Clutters live, our town. The book cuts to the next morning. The Clutters are found dead in their homes, bound and shot in the head, each of them. The book then follows Perry and Dick as they travel to Mexico. They waste their money and ultimately decide to travel back into the States. They hitchhike into Texas and steal a car. They travel across the states, leaving a trail of phony checks. Meanwhile, in Holcomb, the search for the murderers has reached several dead ends. The search gets its first clue when a call from a cellmate of Dick's incriminates Dick and Perry. Dewey and the others use the trail of phony checks to follow and ultimately arrest Dick and Perry in Las Vegas. After interrogation, Dick and Perry confess. They're placed on trial in Holcomb, right down the street. During the trial, the two describe that they attacked the Clutters for money. They describe the murders quite vividly. The two are found guilty and sentenced to hang. They're placed on death row. It's where they've spent 5 years. Dick kept trying to push back or even absolve entirely his sentence, but eventually they were hanged, and the book ends.
During the trial, the lawyers had some superb evidence. Oh yeah, you guys saw the vocabulary book one of the murderers had, right? Whose was it again? Oh yeah, it was Perry's. Yes, and I found it so interesting.
Oh, may I see the book? Ah, I recognize some of these words. Perturbed, to be anxious or unsettled. Vicissitudes, meaning unwelcome change of circumstances. Dyspathy, a complete lack of sympathy.
Wow, Charlie, you really know your stuff.
Yeah, you should come to our book club more often. You know what this book reminds me of?
What?
Well, first of all, the beginning of the story is written a lot like the book All the Light We Cannot See, because they both show two separate timelines, which leaves the reader to wonder when the two timelines will intersect.
Oh yes, I read the book. I completely get where you're coming from.
And that's not all. When Perry described his troubled past, it seemed very similar to the lives of Jeanette Walls in The Glass Castle and Vance's life in Hillbilly Elegy. All of them had poor family lives, and substance abuse played a major part in their struggle. However, Walls and Vance turned out more like Perry's successful sister, Barbara, in the end, rather than Perry himself.
So, that's very interesting. I actually did a little bit of research on the murderers, Dick and Perry, and apparently Perry had grown up in this abused household, and not only was he abused by his parents, but he was also abused by the Salvation Army orphanage that he was sent to. And Dick was a star athlete up until 1950, and then he got into this car accident, and after this car accident, he couldn't afford to go to college, so he ended up working as a mechanic. And his first wife, he actually ended up getting a divorce because he had an affair with someone else. So throughout his whole life, you can see how all these bad things kind of led him to break at one point and commit what he did with the Clutter family.
That's riveting. Let's talk about the theme now.
I thought the theme was the fall of the American dream.
I agree. The Clutters represented the ideal American dream, and yet even they couldn't escape their inevitable downfall.
Well, personally, I thought that the theme was the truth will always prevail.
No, I agree with you. Dick and Perry took every precaution not to get caught, but still Agents Dewey and Agents Nye were still able to catch them at the end and find out the truth.
Charlie, you decide.
Sorry folks, but I haven't read the book.
I don't know where the mugs are.
If there's nothing in it, I'll look like a tool. I apologize. Megan says, wow, Charlie, you really know your stuff. And then Renata says, yes, you should come to our little book club more often. You know what this book reminds me of? I don't have the connections rep.
Beyblade would be like, let it rip, and they'll be
Does this bother you?
Yes.
Renata, get off your phone.
You broke my mug!
I didn't break anything.
You broke my finger.
I smacked with a brand new invention, something. Grabbed a hold of me tightly, flow like how